The Alia SOS echoed through the void. The SOS signal was never meant for human ears. It was weak and broken, floating through the cold darkness of space. The message had no clear language, no clear symbols, only fear and pain woven into its pulse. Again and again it repeated the same meaning: we are under attack. We are dying. Please help. Across the galaxy. Great alien empires detected the signal and ignored it. Some governments marked it as a trap. Some called it none of their concern. Others calculated the risk and decided the cost was too high. The signal drifted on, lonely and fading, until it reached the outer edge of human space. Humans were still new to the galaxy, born on a violent world with storms, predators, and endless conflict. Other species called Earth the Death World. They called humans reckless, unstable, and dangerous. That reputation followed them everywhere. The signal was detected by a human patrol fleet returning from deep space. Old but powerful ships moved in tight formation, their hulls scarred by past battles inside the command ship. Screens lit up as the unknown transmission appeared. Admiral Elias Grant stood on the bridge, watching the signal repeat. He did not understand the language, but he understood the emotion. Fear was universal. A sensor officer spoke carefully. "Sir, the signal is alien, origin unknown, coming from unclaimed space," another officer added. "Scans show heavy weapons fire in the area, multiple hostile signatures. Unclaimed space meant danger, pirates, mercenaries, ancient machines, or something worse. No laws applied there. No help would come if things went wrong. The fleet could turn away. No one would blame them." Admiral Grant remained silent for a long moment. His eyes stayed on the screen as the signal repeated again. Weaker now, more desperate, he finally spoke, his voice calm and steady. "Set course for the signal." The bridge went quiet. No one argued. No one questioned the order. Human ships changed direction as one. Engines flared brighter. Metal giants cutting through the void with purpose. As they traveled, the signal grew clearer. The fear inside it sharpened, now mixed with screams, alarms, and the sound of weapons. Fire. The fleet exited warp near a shattered star system. Debris filled the void like broken bones. Alien ships drifted lifeless, torn apart by brutal force. At the center of the chaos, a small group of civilian vessels struggled to survive. Their engines burned weakly. Hull breaches vented air into space. They were surrounded. Dark warships circled them like predators, sleek, sharp, and silent. Their weapons charged with deadly light. Inside one of the civilian ships, an alien captain watched the scanners in despair. They had sent the SOS as a final act, a scream into the darkness, never believing anyone would answer. Then the sensors screamed. Multiple warp signatures appeared. Large ones, fast ones. Human ships emerged from the void. Dozens of them. Weapons, powered, shields, active. They moved between the attackers and the civilians without hesitation. The unknown warships paused, confusion spreading through their formation. They scanned the newcomers again and again. They had never faced humans before. Admiral Grant's voice echoed across the fleet. "All ships, defensive formation. Protect the civilians." The attackers fired first. Energy beams ripped through space. Human shields flared under the impact. Armor burned, systems strained, but the fleet held the line. Human weapons answered. Not elegant, not graceful, just overwhelming. Explosions lit the void as enemy ships shattered. The predators became prey inside the alien ships. Stunned survivors watched in silence. They had heard rumors of death. They never imagined this. The SOS signal finally stopped. Not because the aliens were gone, but because help had arrived. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the universe began to realize its mistake. It had sent out a cry for help, and humanity had heard it. When the hunters learned fear, the battlefield burned with drifting fire and broken metal. Human ships held their position like a solid wall. Between the attackers and the wounded alien civilians, the unknown warships hesitated. They had never expected resistance. Certainly not this kind. Their sensors screamed warnings. Human weapons ran hot. Shields stayed firm, even under heavy fire. Admiral Grant watched the enemy formation change. They were not retreating. They were adapting. "Enemy ships are coordinating," an officer reported. "They are targeting our flanks." Grant nodded slowly. "They learned fast," he said. "Too fast." The alien attackers changed tactics. Smaller ships rushed forward, fast and aggressive, trying to slip past human defenses. Human pilots reacted instantly. Fighter squadrons launched from carriers, small, brutal machines driven by human reflex and instinct. Space turned chaotic. Lasers crossed like burning lines. Missiles screamed through the void. Human fighters did not dance. They struck. They rammed. They exploded alongside enemy ships if needed. The attackers began to lose ships, one after another, their confidence cracking inside the civilian vessels. Alien survivors watched in shock. These humans did not fight like any species they knew. They fought with controlled fury. An alien engineer whispered in disbelief. "They are protecting us?" Another answered softly. "They do not even know who we are." On the human flagship, alarms rang as shields dropped on one cruiser. Enemy fire tore through its side. Systems failed. Crew members were lost. "Cruiser Atlas is hit," an officer shouted. "They are venting atmosphere." Grant's jaw tightened. "Redirect destroyers to cover them," he ordered. "But sir," another officer warned, "that will expose the line." Grant did not hesitate. "Humans do not leave their own behind," he said. The destroyers moved instantly, placing themselves between the damaged ship and enemy fire, taking hit after hit. The attackers sensed weakness. They pushed harder, weapons glowing, brighter. Then something changed. A massive human battleship moved forward, slow, heavy, unstoppable. Its guns began to charge. Power levels spiked across the fleet. Human technology pushed beyond safe limits. The alien attackers realized too late what was happening. The battleship fired, not a single shot, but a storm. Energy tore through space. Enemy ships vanished in blinding light. Shields failed. Hull integrity collapsed. The remaining attackers panicked. Their formation broke. Some tried to flee. Others fought wildly. Human ships advanced, not chasing for glory, but to end the threat. One by one, the Predator ships were destroyed or disabled. The void grew quieter. Only wreckage remained. Silence followed, heavy and unreal. Inside, the alien civilian ships, emergency lights flickered. Crew members stared at their screens. The attackers were gone. They were alive. On the human bridge, crews worked fast. Damage reports filled the air. Medics rushed to wounded stations. Grant exhaled slowly. "Send a broadcast," he said. "All frequencies." The message was simple. "This is the human fleet. You are safe now." The alien ships received the message, translated imperfectly but clear enough. Safe. Some aliens collapsed in relief. Others cried openly. A few simply stared into space, unable to believe it. One alien captain answered with a trembling voice, "We thought no one would come." Grant listened, his expression calm but tired. "Someone always should," he replied. Far from the battlefield, unseen sensors watched the aftermath. Signals were recorded. Data was sent into the depths of space. The galaxy was learning. Humans did not ignore cries for help, and those who hunted the weak had just found a new enemy. The truth beneath the silence: the battle was over. But the danger was not. Human ships remained alert, weapons warm, sensors wide open. Space was filled with wreckage, broken hulls, frozen bodies, and silent engines drifting slowly apart. Human rescue teams launched toward the damaged alien vessels. Small craft moving carefully through debris, medics and engineers ready for anything. Inside the alien ships, fear returned, not of the attackers, but of the humans. Stories about Deathworlders spread across the galaxy. They were said to be violent, cruel, and unstoppable. Many aliens believed humans destroyed first and asked questions later. When human boarding teams arrived, the aliens prepared for the worst. Some hid, some armed themselves with weak tools, some prayed. Instead, the humans brought medical kits, repaired drones, and calm voices. They worked quickly, sealing hull breaches, stabilizing wounded crew. An alien elder watched in disbelief as a human medic treated a child. Gentle hands, careful movements, no anger, no cruelty. "Why are you helping us?" the elder asked through a translator. The medic paused, then answered simply, "Because you asked." That answer spread through the alien ships like fire on the human flagship. Admiral Grant met with his officers. Long-range scans showed strange patterns, energy traces that did not match known pirate groups. These attackers were not random. An analyst reported they were organized, well-equipped. and highly disciplined. Grant nodded. "Hunters," he said, "not raiders," another officer added. "We recovered data from a disabled enemy ship." The room grew quiet. A screen activated, showing symbols and star maps. The data revealed something terrifying. The attackers were part of a larger force, one that moved silently, striking weak systems, erasing entire species without warning. They did not conquer, they consumed. Grant studied the map. Dozens of vanished civilizations marked with cold precision, all labeled the same way, non-resistant. "They choose targets that will not fight back," an officer said softly. Grant's hands clenched. They chose wrong this time. Meanwhile, aboard an alien civilian ship, leaders gathered in a damaged chamber. Their faces showed exhaustion and fear. They spoke of lost worlds, of fleets that never returned. When they learned the humans were still there, still protecting them, hope slowly returned. One alien leader asked to speak with Admiral Grant. The connection opened, shaky but clear. "We did not know who to call," the alien said. "The galaxy has learned to stay silent." Grant listened carefully. "Silence keeps you alive," the alien continued, "but it also lets monsters grow." Grant replied without hesitation. "Humans do not survive by staying silent." That statement carried weight across the fleet. Human crews rested briefly. Ships were repaired, weapons reloaded. They knew this was not the end. It was the beginning of something much larger. Deep in the darkness beyond the system, a surviving enemy probe transmitted data. Images of human ships, combat behavior, casualty ratios. A cold intelligence received the information, processed it, and reached a conclusion. Humans were no longer a minor species. They were a threat. The hunters adjusted their plans. For the first time in a long while, they prepared for war. When humanity chose to stand, the human fleet did not leave after the rescue. They stayed, guarding the broken alien ships as repairs continued. Their presence alone pushed back the darkness. Word spread quickly among the survivors. Humans were still there, watching, protecting. Admiral Grant called a fleet council. Captains appeared on screens from across the formation, faces tired, but focused. "We have a choice," Grant said. "We can escort these civilians to safety and return home, or we can follow the trail of those hunters." Silence followed. Everyone understood the risk. The enemy erased worlds. They did not lose often. One captain finally spoke. "If we walk away, they will strike again." Another added, "They will find another weak system." Grant nodded slowly. "Humans were born and a world had tried to kill us every day. We learned to survive by standing together." He looked at each screen. "We do not run from predators." The decision was unanimous. The human fleet would not retreat. Orders moved fast. Repair teams worked around the clock. Weapons were reinforced. Engines pushed beyond standard limits. Human ships sent messages across known space, encrypted, urgent, and clear, calling other fleets, calling allies, calling anyone willing to stand. Some responses came quickly. Human colonies sent support ships. Veteran crews volunteered without hesitation. Others came slower. Alien governments watched, listened, and waited. Many had lost worlds to the hunters, but fear had kept them silent. Seeing humans stand alone against such a threat changed something back among the alien survivors. Fear slowly turned into resolve. They watched humans work, fight, and plan, not as conquerors, but as guardians. An alien commander approached a human officer. "Our people are weak," the alien admitted. "We do not know how to fight them," the human officer answered calmly. "Then we will teach you how to survive." Training began even before repairs were finished. Humans shared tactics, defense formations, emergency protocols. For the first time, the hunted were learning how to resist. Far away, the hunters moved again. Their fleets gathered in the dark, silent and massive. They believed fear ruled the galaxy, that no species would dare challenge them. They were wrong. Sensors detected incoming signals. Long-range scans confirmed it. Multiple enemy fleets were moving toward the system. The final test was coming. Admiral Grant stood on the bridge, staring into the void. "We did not start this war," he said, "but we will finish it." Human ships formed up, side by side with newly repaired alien vessels. A fragile alliance, but a determined one. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. For the first time in a long age, the silence was broken, and the creditors were no longer alone in the dark. The galaxy will remember this day. The enemy fleets arrived like a living shadow. Hundreds of dark warships poured into the system, cold, silent, and confident. They had erased worlds. Before, they expected fear. They expected weakness. Instead, they found humans waiting. The human fleet did not scatter. It did not retreat. It moved forward. Human and alien ships formed a single defensive wall, smaller than the enemy force, but unbroken. Admiral Grant's voice carried across every channel. This line holds, no matter the cost. The hunters attacked without warning. Weapons of pure destruction lit the void. Entire sections of space burned. Human shields flared and cracked. Ships shook violently. Crew members were thrown from their stations, but no one ran. Human ships returned fire with everything they had. Missiles, cannons, energy beams. Not precise, not elegant, but relentless. Alien ships fought beside them, firing with shaking hands, learning courage in real time. When one human ship fell, another moved forward to take its place. When an alien ship was hit, humans covered it without question. The hunters did not understand this. Their logic had no space for sacrifice, no space for loyalty. They began to lose ships, then formations, then control. A massive hunter command vessel pushed forward, its weapons charged with enough power to break the line. Grant saw it and made a decision. All ships, he ordered. Full assault on the command vessel. Human ships surged ahead, ignoring damage, ignoring fear. The command vessel fired, destroying several ships instantly. Still, the humans advanced, at close range. Human weapons tore into the enemy flagship. Armor failed. Systems collapsed. The great hunter vessel broke apart in a blinding explosion. The effect was immediate. Enemy coordination failed. Fleets hesitated, then began to retreat. Humans did not chase. They held the line, protecting the system. Silence slowly returned to space. This time, it was different. Across the galaxy, sensors recorded the battle. Footage spread. Stories spread faster. The hunters could be stopped. Fear was not the only choice. Among the alien survivors, something new was born. Hope, strength, and trust. Admiral Grant looked out at the stars. His fleet damaged. His crews exhausted, but standing. This was never just about one SOS, he said quietly. It was about what kind of galaxy we live in. The human fleet turned back toward the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. And everywhere, in hidden systems and silent worlds, a species who had learned to stay quiet listened closely, because now they knew, if they ever sent out a cry for help, humanity would answer. The echo that changed the galaxy. The battle ended, but his echo did not fade. Wreckage drifted slowly through the system, silent proof of what had happened. Human ships moved carefully among the debris, rescuing survivors and recovering the fallen. Names were recorded, lives were honored. No one was forgotten. Alien crews watched in quiet respect. They saw humans mourn their dead, not with fear, but with pride and resolve. Admiral Grant addressed both human and alien fleets together. His message was simple and clear. This victory was not the end. It was the beginning. The hunters had been wounded, not destroyed, but something far more dangerous had happened to them. Their myth was broken. Across the galaxy, hidden, listening posts replayed the battle again and again. Small civilizations, long silent, saw the truth. The predators could bleed. They could lose. Messages began to spread. Quiet at first, then stronger. Signals asking questions. Signals asking for contact. Signals asking for help. Human fleets did not ignore them. They answered every call they could reach, sometimes with ships, sometimes with supplies, sometimes with nothing more than a voice saying, "You are not alone." New alliances formed, not built on fear, but on shared survival. Alien worlds began to prepare defenses, training fleets, building shields, learning from humans how to stand instead of hide, deep in the darkness. The hunters watched it all. They analyzed the changes, the rising resistance, the growing unity. For the first time in their long existence, they faced a galaxy that refused to stay quiet. One final message was broadcast by the human fleet. Not a threat, not a warning, a promise. To any who listen, if you are hunted, if you are afraid, send the call. Humanity will hear you. That message spread farther than any weapon ever could. It became legend, then history. The galaxy remembered the day the silence broke, the day an SOS echoed through the void, and Deathworlders answered.